Hey guys, it's your boy Travis back at it again with another really late video. I have not uploaded anything creative like an actual proper vlog in over a year. I've been going through a few different stuff. I'm going to be recording a lot of videos over the next couple of days, and I'm going to start doing something, an idea that I got from an amazing YouTuber who I look up to a lot, Uppercase Chase. He's a transgender YouTuber, I'll link him in the description below. He does mental health updates. I'm going to start doing that mainly as a way for me to keep track of where my mental health is, as well as to let you guys know what's going on inside this train wreck of a mind. However, that's not what this video is about today. Today, I want to talk to you guys about transphobia. Now, if you're cis, for most people, for most cis people anyway, when they hear the word transphobia, they think, you know, assuming they're an ally, they usually think stuff like, oh, transphobia is being called a T-word, or people trying to stop the bathroom bill from going through. Stuff like that. And while that stuff is, of course, transphobia, what I want to talk about is something that I like to call low-key transphobia. It's honestly, it's very subtle, and it's taken me a long time to realize that it actually is transphobic, and it is awful, and that you shouldn't let cis people in your life get away with it if you're trans. Or heck, even if you're cis and you have a friend who is trans and a family member says something like this, it's always a good idea to try and call them out if it's safe to do so, because trans people can't always advocate for themselves. Now, there's lots of different levels when it comes to transphobia. You know, the very basic level is just, I hate you because you're trans, I'm going to attack you verbally or physically, I'm going to make you feel like you're in danger. That's a very forward type of transphobia. The next level would be what I call passive-aggressive transphobia. So it's stuff like a parent telling their trans kids to make sure that they have cis friends so that when they have kids, there will be cis role models. I have a lot of issues with this. The main issue being, it implies that the parent thinks that you can be influenced into being trans, which just isn't true. It also implies that trans people are only friends with other trans people and not with cis people. 3, it's implying that you should try to keep your kid from being trans when it's perfectly fine to be trans. And 4, and most importantly, it's kind of like the whole White Lives Matter movement. How when Black Lives Matter became a thing, people started saying, well, White Lives Matter too. It's like, people advocate for trans people saying, oh yeah, it's important the kids grow up learning about transgender stuff and having transgender role models. Well, it's okay for them to have cis role models too. It's kind of taking little aspects out of such an important movement, twisting it around and going, but what about me? What about the privileged groups? Shouldn't they get rights that they've had since birth without ever having to fight for them? It really takes away what a lot of us are trying to say and trying to do with these movements. Another major thing about transphobia is misgendering. Now, for me personally, if you purposefully misgender somebody, I don't care, you're transphobic. I don't care what your reasons is. They could be the worst person in the world. Heck, they could have cut off your husband's dick. And if you misgender them, you're transphobic. I don't condone what trans people do or what cis people do. What trans people do is their business, and what cis people do is their business. But when trans people do something that pisses off a cis person, there's always that risk that the cis person will then purposefully misgender them to get back at them. Say you have a fight, or you fall out with a friend who's trans. And a lot of the times, if it's a big enough fight, this person will then start misgendering it. Say it's a trans man. They'll start calling him she and her and a woman and saying it's all a phase and being overall awful about it. However, if two cis people get in a fight, you wouldn't see two cis men getting into a fight and then one of them calling the other a woman. It just wouldn't happen. Because there's no doubt in their minds that that person is a man. So why do people think it's okay to purposely misgender trans people just because you're mad at them? Sorry, but if you are telling somebody that they're a woman when they're a man because you're pissed at them, you're transphobic. Sorry boy, I don't make the rules. Something else I've encountered quite a bit over the last few years is cis people being transphobic without meaning to be. And what I mean by this is cis people saying stuff that's transphobic, you know, because they're trying to help, but they don't realize it's transphobic. And then when you try to educate them on it, they get incredibly defensive. It can be really frustrating to be the trans friend. Trust me, I have been out loud and proud as trans since September of 2014. 3 years I've been out. I have learned a lot about myself in that time, and I've honestly become very open about trans issues. I'm always willing to educate, teach, and learn from others. However, it does get really tiring. It's why I love spending time with trans people, because it's awesome to be able to spend even just a few hours with people who get it. It's why Camp Firefly is so important to me, because I get to spend a lot of time. I get to spend 4 days straight around people who get it, around people who don't make excuses for cis people, who don't make excuses for toxic behavior others do. What I'm talking about is, okay, for example, or let's say you find out that a trans woman who is pre-op, meaning she's on hormones, she's had a few operations, but she has not had an operation to take away her male genitalia. I hate saying that. I really hope I didn't trigger anybody by saying that. I just mean a penis. So she's still a woman, but she has a penis. Please, if anybody thinks I'm out of line or anything, please just let me know in the comment section. I honestly mean no harm by saying this, just hear me out. Let's say a cis woman finds out that her trans woman best friend, who only dates women, dates that, has sex, and uses her penis when having sex. Does that make it straight sex? No. Does that make her a man? No. Does that make her less of a woman because she uses the part she still has to bring pleasure to herself and her partner? No! Fucking hell. Bloody hell. Oh, God. This type of stuff really irks me. It'd be like if I was in a relationship with a cis guy. It would be a gay relationship. Because I am a man. I identify as male. I am with a guy who also identifies as male. Any sex we have is gay sex because it's between two men. Just like if there's sex between a trans woman and a cis woman, it's gay sex because they both identify as women. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. If two people who identify as the same gender have sex, it's gay sex. The parts and the sexual reproductive organs, or whatever you want to call them, does not have anything to do with the person's sexual orientation. This is something that so many cis parents struggle a lot with. Like, their kid comes out as trans and they're just like, okay, so you were lesbian before, does that mean... So you were gay before, so are you still attracted to just girls? I'm going to break this down. All of you. People out there who are trans will probably relate a little bit to this. I'm talking directly to cis people here. I'm only going to say this once. Gender and sexual orientation are not the same thing. Gender is how you feel inside, it's how you present yourself, it's how you feel about yourself, what pronouns you're most comfortable with. There's a whole array, there's a whole world of genders out there. Sex is the characteristics you have physically. For example, I am a man. I go by he, him pronouns. I'm growing facial hair. I am a brother. I'm a son. When I marry, I will be somebody's husband. I am some guy's best bro sometimes. I'm a dude. It is who I am inside. Sometimes I can be slightly feminine representing in some of the stuff I do. Sometimes I can't. Overall, I am a man. But I have a vagina, and I have boobs. I was born with ovaries, a uterus, fallopian tubes, and a cervix. That doesn't involve my gender. For a lot of people, aka cis people, it does. They have boobs, they have a vagina, they have a uterus. All of these feminine reproductive organs, and they identify as female. Great, amazing, good for you. You didn't draw a short straw. However, for trans people, it's not that simple. Gender is what you feel here and here. Sex is what body parts you were born with, and what body parts, the hormones you were born to produce, makes you get during puberty. It has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. For example, before I realized I was trans, I was pansexual. After realizing I was trans, I'm still pansexual. Just like if I had been a straight girl before realizing I was trans, the only thing that would have changed after I came out as trans would be the label. So I would have gone from a straight woman to a gay man. Like, who you're attracted to can change. I'm not saying that who you're attracted to can change over the years, but if it does, it isn't because of how you identify, and it isn't because of your gender identity. When it comes to stuff like transphobia, and even, especially when it comes to misgendering, in my honest-to-God opinion, misgendering somebody is inexcusable. If misgendering... See, a lot of people, mainly cis people, seem to see pronouns as a privilege instead of a right that trans people should have. They seem to view it as this whole thing of, okay, I'm going to respect this trans person and their pronouns so long as they keep me happy. As soon as I'm not happy with them, I'm not going to respect them anymore. And the second you think like that, you are being transphobic. You are putting your thoughts and feelings above the needs of another human being. Here is this person, oh, I'm upset, oh, they got my coffee order wrong, or oh, you know, whatever, you're pissed off about them. Here is a trans person, just trying to live their life as the gender they are. And then this cis person just comes down, and when they misgender them, they knock them down. Coming from me, like, I don't get misgendered quite as much as I used to before my hairstyle, but every time I do, it cripples me for hours. It's not just a quick, whatever, they're not worth my time. It is crippling it hurts physically and emotionally to be misgendered like that. Like, there are times when I get misgendered and it takes everything not for me to break down into a sobbing mess at work because of it. It is inexcusable. Pronouns are not a privilege, they are a right. You would never see, if it's like, you wouldn't ever see, like, Donald Trump going online being an idiot again and somebody just deciding to start calling him a girl. You'd never see that. Same thing with a girl, like if Hillary Clinton did something that a bunch of people hated, you wouldn't see people calling her a man. No, because she isn't. She's a woman. Donald Trump is a man, and I say that very loosely because I hate Donald Trump. But it's the same thing. I am a man. Chase Ross is a man. Alex Birdie is a man. I have a bunch of trans female friends who are all women. What parts you have does not equal what gender you are. And this doesn't just stop with trans men and trans women. This encompasses all genders, including non-binary genders. For example, if you're non-binary and you go by they, them pronouns, you are non-binary. The parts and the pronouns that other people use for you doesn't matter. The only time it is okay to start using the pronouns of the sex of the trans person you're talking to is if that trans person tells you to. Is if that trans person says, you know, I'm not comfortable using she and her pronouns, so I'd rather you call me that. Okay, cool. I'm gonna call you she and her now instead of he and him. That is the only time it is okay to change the pronouns of what you're calling somebody. Any other time, and you're being transphobic. This is kind of a much longer rant than I intended it to be. I just kind of wanted to clearly out there and actually have a proper discussion about transphobia, what I see it as. If you like this video, leave your comments down in the description below. All my social media info is, as always, in the description as well. And please feel free to ask questions. Really, I don't want to come off as a crazy trans guy who doesn't want to educate people and who will just get pissed at people for asking questions. That's not me. I love answering questions. I love educating people. It's something I want to do for the rest of my life. I want people to be educated in this stuff. But you have to realize that you're not perfect, and if a trans person tells you that you're being transphobic, you have to believe them. Because they live this every single day. Just because you're cis and just because you're an ally doesn't mean you get to turn around when they call you out on your bullshit and say, what? No, I'm not being transphobic. How the fuck would you know you aren't trans? Until you are trans and you've walked a mile in that trans person's shoes, you do not get to decide what is transphobic and what isn't. Only trans people get to decide what is and isn't transphobic. I really hope nobody took any type of serious offense to this. If I did say something that anybody has an issue with, let's start a conversation down in the comments. I'm a very open-minded and very rational person. I won't scream, I won't shout, I'm very calm and reasonable. Just respect me and my community, and we will do the same to you. Show us the respect you want to be shown. That's all we ask for. This has been a fun little rant to start off, to kind of end my hiatus on. I love doing videos. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. I do love doing them. I just don't really have the time to do them as much anymore. But I'm gonna be trying to fix that. So, that ends this little ramble of a video. If you liked it, please don't forget to leave a like and share if you think other people might enjoy it. You know, share it with your trans friends, your cis friends, cis and trans family members. And people might get a kick out of it, or might look at this video and realize, oh hey, maybe that person isn't doing right by me. And cis people can look at this as a learning experience. A learning experience to see how not to be a bad ally. Again, if you like this, leave a like, comment, subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.